Hey, everybody, welcome to today's episode of the What Worked For You show. Today, we're going to talk about something that every entrepreneur absolutely needs to be versed on to some degree, and that is business law. No, you don't have to be an attorney, but you do have to have an idea of what is going on, what you can do, can't do, shouldn't do, because there's lots of things that we don't know that can totally mess us up, inadvertently at that, if we don't pay attention. So having quality counsel in our back pocket, very important to have. Usually costs more than we want to pay, but guess what? It's way cheaper than if you get it wrong. So you want these people in your back pocket. Our guest today, he is a managing partner of the Woodward, Kelly, Fulton and Kaplan law firm in Florida. He has been a bar president. He has been a business law expert now, helping businesses for 25 plus years. He's worked with anything from startups to large M&A acquisitions, one of which was $350 million, so not a small deal. He has played with businesses with everything in between, helping them, consulting them, and if it's something his practice didn't do, referring them to the appropriate sources to make sure that as business owners, they get the help they need the right way to get it right the first time. Brandon Woodward, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. How are you?
Thanks, Frank. I'm happy to be here. It's a sunny day in South Florida, and like I said, we're got good mornings worth of work out of the way. So I'm all yours for the next hour or so.
I love it. By the way, is there outside of a hurricane, is it ever not sunny in South Florida?
It's always sunny. It's the humidity that will kill you. It is
There you go.
always wet out here all the time.
There you go. There you go. But we love it anyway, so it's all good. Well, with more than 25 years under your belt in this world of business law, I saw that you were recognized with an honor for Avo's Perfect 10, which I was like,
Yeah.
what is that? And Martindale Hubbell's AV Preeminent Rating.
Yeah.
And these are things that I've heard of, but I don't know. But I know, like in many fields, when you hear these things, they mean something to the people in those communities. What was it like to be recognized with these honors? And tell us a little bit more about them.
Sure. Avo 10 is actually a publicly. It's kind of your public rating. Avo is it's been fairly new to the scene as it relates to. They started off as a directory for members of the general public to find attorneys. They do have a for pay kind of way of getting your name out in front of the general public. My firm does not generally do a lot with the general public. We are B2B. We handle things directly to business owners, and a lot of our stuff is referral. But back to Avo. If you're looking for an attorney in a particular practice area, the rating system on a 0 to 10 scale is a combination of both attorney ratings. You have to be an attorney in their system to rate other attorneys. And then there's a certain aspect of it that's given by the public, generally your current former clients and things like that. And there's some verification involved. They don't, you just can't give stars like Google does. 10 is the highest rating. I've never had anything less than, I think I started off at a certain rating and then built up to 10. And it's nice. There's not a lot of attorneys that have the perfect 10. You can lose your perfect 10 rating, and I hope I don't. But the other one that's near and dear to me is the Martindale Hubbell. Martindale Hubbell started off as an attorney guide, but it's approaching 50 or 70 years old. It is the gold standard of attorney ratings, gold standard of attorney referral and directory and things like that. They started as a paper phone book kind of directory. That one is very, very different. The only way to get the ratings through Martindale Hubbell is from another attorney. And it's usually attorneys you either work with, or in my case, and in a lot of times, it's attorneys you've worked against. So it does have sort of an honor among knights. We fought each other for the better part of a year over a case. And then at the end, I'm like, hey, you did a great job. I'm going to recommend you for Martindale Hubbell, accolades or something like that. And it's a nice tip of the cap for a fight well fought. And so Martindale Hubbell, the preeminent, the top rating there. It is exceptionalism in your practice area. They have 25 different sort of practice areas. Their number's not mine. It's either the top 5% nationwide or the top 2% nationwide. It's not easy to get. You cannot rig it. You cannot buy it. You have to kind of get it from your peers. I've had it for at least 5 years that I'm aware of, and then and you maintain it by consistently doing good service both to your clients, but being recognized by your peers as being competent and being more than competent, being expert in your area. The other one that you didn't mention, but also comes from Martindale Hubble, is Client Champion. That's another one given by our own customers and clients. It does have a verification process to it. We were awarded platinum, which is their highest level of customer satisfaction in 2023. We've been platinum ever since. So AV preeminent rating with a platinum on the client champion side of things, which is a lot of it has to do with my staff. You don't see a lot of that. And when I talk to other attorneys in other parts of the country, or I'm introduced to another attorney that I'm going to be working head to head against or collaborative with, if I look out and I see that they are, in fact, preeminent or they have the AV rating, I know they're up to snuff. They are as good as I am, or they are as competent as I am. We can skip all the BS and get right to the meat of the matter, because they're going to be a good quality, competent attorney.
So this is great information. I appreciate you sharing that, and I certainly wasn't aware of half of what you just said. And because I have dealt as a business owner and as our audience, when do we go to attorneys? Usually when it's too late,
Yeah.
right? That's typically how it goes. Sometimes if we're more prepared, we go earlier. But one thing I've learned in working with counsel, it is uber frustrating to either work with someone who is, you sort of figure out through the school of hard knocks, is not maybe as competent as you'd like them to be, or maybe you're happy with your counsel and you find out that opposing counsel is like, what planet are they from? Right? Like, and so what can entrepreneurs, maybe what's not the right answer, like, can entrepreneurs then just look up these things to figure out, okay, I'm looking for an attorney for XYZ. Okay, I want someone that meets one, maybe two, or even all three of these criteria. Is that the plan?
Those two, Avo, like I said, is a little more consumer based, but that also has it also has like a volume indicator attached to it. You can have 50 reviews and be 10 star, or 10 rated. 10 rated and 100 reviews. That it does give a number of reviews. So that's a good indicator, very much like Google stars, of how many people have used this attorney before. Avo, I like them a lot. They also put your practice areas down there as a percentage. And if you see more than see more than 3 practice areas right there, they are not going to be an expert at any single one of them, unless they're very, very closely aligned. Elder law and estate and trust, those do tend to run together. But the bottom line is, if you see the attorney on Avo or anyplace else that advertises family law, criminal law, estates and trusts, wills, and business law, and maritime law, that's an everything bagel. They're not going to be up to speed on all the nuances of any particular practice area. Also, they're shifting between all these practice points in a given day. That is very difficult to be very good and very diligent in any area, if you're constantly shifting gears like that. The other one, though, and I'll tell you this story, when I used to be counsel at very, very large companies, I would have to find attorneys in other cities and states. One of our branches or an office gets a subpoena for a workers' comp claim in Columbus, Ohio. I don't know anybody in Columbus, Ohio. I don't even know where I would go is Martindale Hubble. And you go to Martindale Hubble, Columbus, Ohio, workers' comp attorney, and you will find about 3 or 4 attorneys that have that preeminent rating. Their address is, they're either in the county center, they're in the county seat, and they've got a preeminent rating. And the best tell is they have an office near the courthouse. If they've really done all that sort of stuff, it doesn't care. They may not have the biggest advertisement. They may not have the splashiest ad. Google might rate them down a couple of pages, but if Martindale Hubble has them as preeminent 20 plus years and they only do what you're looking for, you're in very, very good hands there. And as an ex general counsel for major companies, that's how we go to find really the best guy, girl attorney, the best person attorney in town when you need it. That's maybe it's a little inside baseball right there, but um, certain local knowledge is good. But if you're walking into a place you don't know anything about, start there. You're halfway home.
Mm, that is definitely invaluable. I appreciate you sharing. Yeah, it reminds me, we had an issue once, a couple, 2, 3 years ago, whenever it was, and we had to go look for an attorney that practiced in a specific area. And one of the things we found is many of the law firms, to your point about Google, they were advertising on Google. They did this specific type of law. You'd call them up and they're like, we don't really do much with that. And you're just like, why is it on your website? But what was amazing to me was it wasn't an isolated incident. So I love what you shared because that helps us and our listeners be like, okay, this is how you go find that person you need. Because we're not attorneys, right? We're entrepreneurs. We're trying to run businesses. We're not trying to understand legal. We just need to know what we need to know so we can do it right, right, and keep it moving. So
Sure. You want to get the right player on the field first. Get out ahead of the problem. And a lot of times this
yes.
comes in the case of litigation. You've got an office of yours has been served with something, and it could be nothing, it'd be nonsense. One of my clients recently got a federal summons, not a warning letter, not a demand letter. Here's a summons. Based on the Federal Text Act. Federal Communications Act. Someone opted out of a group text or out of a text alert system, and they didn't quite opt out correctly. The company sent a couple of more texts after the opt out, after the person allegedly opted out of their text advertising. That's it's $10,000 or $20,000 an incident, and it actually there's attorney's fees for the person receiving the text. So attorneys love these cases. They're like, oh, free attorney's fees, and all I got to do is send a text. Well, my client got that. It was in a different state, Martindale Hubble. I mean, all day long. It's like, I need an attorney that deals with federal communication, FCC law, in Roanoke, Virginia. And we got him, and it worked out just fine.
Mm, wow, that's powerful. Good to know. I love it.
Getting
I
the right
made
attorney
notes. I'm
the
like,
first
this is
time.
fantastic.
We
So
try to
yeah,
be helpful around here.
you got it. Well, I mean, going and it's so because counsel is very expensive. And I'll just ask you a joke before we really dive into it, but this
Sure.
kind of leads to that. So because counsel is so expensive, at least it, like whenever we are a tenor, we feel like it's expensive. And you want to get it right the first time
Mhm.
because you're going to be paying a lot of money. But one of the things I find is it's almost like a Walmart mentality, Target mentality, where it's like, well, this guy's 300 an hour, but the next guy's 350 an hour. Well, let's hire the 300 an hour. And I'm just like, actually, the good ones are probably 500 and up, just to be real. So, but you don't really
Right.
know that until you've dealt with it a few times. But how do you help entrepreneurs understand, look, in this world, it kind of to some degree, and I mean, you may disagree, I don't know, but to me, it feels like one of those times where you really do get what you pay for, and there is value in paying more, not because we want to spend more, but because you're just going to get more done faster.
More done faster is that's a great way of putting it. A higher priced attorney does not need any time to get up to speed. We are usually the subject matter experts. Like for me, it's mergers and acquisitions. There's no spin up time at my law firm. We're hired, and then it's like, okay, here's our first set of questions. And they come out within a day. There's no sitting, there's no learning. I mean, we're not learning on our client's dime. That's not a good strategy, and certainly not cost efficient. The reason the attorneys get more per hour is because they win. That's the only reason. It's a straight market play. Is if I'm worth what I'm worth per hour because I deliver big results for my clients. If I was losing, if my acquisitions were small or my clients were unhappy, I would not be getting the kind of money I do for mergers and acquisitions practice. On the other side, if we're at a bigger firm and I've seen attorney fee bills of $100,000 for a major acquisition, that's Holland and Knight. That's down in Florida, Jones Foster. That's some of the bigger firms out of New York. $100,000 in legal fees very easily to get the job done right. It's done right the first time, every single time, nothing gets missed. That's what you want. I often say when someone hears what my rates are, either on my flat rates or for certain kinds of projects or my hourly, I look at them right now. I'm like, there are cheaper attorneys. You can go find them. I wish you well. But most of the time, if we are talking about your company and your livelihood, why on earth would you buy the cheaper attorney? That makes no sense to me. I know I was small once too, and I bought a used copier or a used printer. That was a terrible idea because it broke down every single time I needed it to work, and the replacement parts were more than the printer cost in the first place. So to your original point, which you started the show with, is do you want to buy it twice or you want to buy it once and get it right? And honestly, with lawyers, getting the right attorney on there, and the right attorney is generally the guy or gal that's been very successful at it, and just out of sheer market force, we're compensated accordingly.
Love it. No, that's incredibly important in the world of being an entrepreneur. Get it right. It's too expensive, too time consuming.
Well, and there's one more thought here is, can I afford an attorney? I don't like turning that around on a client or an interviewer. Is like, can you afford not to? If this deal is so big, we're on the front side of a deal. If the deal is so big that you're going out of business unless you get it, you trust yourself to bring it home? I mean, I'm going to be a few $1,000s to help you, but if it's the existence of your company, well, maybe that's a dollar well spent. Can you afford to not hire somebody like that? And certainly, I say this every time I'm out speaking, as there's two kinds of attorneys in the world. There's the other guy's attorney, and the answer is your attorney. And if you don't have one, or you don't even know where to find one, you're already a step behind the other side in a negotiation or a transaction, because the other attorney is not there to help you. We're not. We get paid by one side, not both sides.
Right.
Final thought here. Tell you what, I don't want to get too ahead of your questions, but where do we find money for attorneys? The answer to that, you didn't ask, but it's in your contract. Have a well-written contract on the front side so that if there is a dispute later and you guys have to go hire attorneys to solve it, the loser is going to pay the winner's attorney's fees. If you do not put it in the contract, it's not presumed. In Florida, at least, attorney's fees are not baked into Florida law as a default. If you have it in the contract, though, hey, I was supposed to receive X number of pallets of whatever. I didn't get them. I couldn't complete these contracts. I'm now out $500,000. Oh, I have an attorney's fees provision in my contract. Guess what? I'll take that case because I know we're getting paid. There's a provision to have attorney's fees baked into your contract. But if you didn't know to put them there in the first place, you're not going to get them. And then I'm like, well, are you going to pay me out of your pocket for this? So again, where do you find attorneys? We talked about that. How do you pay for attorneys? Make sure there's an attorney's fees provision in your contract, big or small. Your companies need to have that.
So can you apply that to any aspect of business, regardless of what you do?
Sure. You have a contract that your customers or clients are signing. It's one more line. In the event of
So like, for instance, I'm in real estate. I go hire a general contractor.
Sure.
I can put something in there that says, hey, you screw up, you're paying my counsel, just FYI.
Right. Yes, it generally rides as part of a three-pack of contract clauses. You want to talk about indemnification. You want to talk about insurance, which we haven't talked about. Insurance backstops the indemnification. It puts money behind the obligation to pay for damages. That's what indemnification is. And then you tie it all together with an attorney's fees provision. And that's in the event either of us makes a claim against each other, that's resolved. The prevailing party, as it's usually referred to, is entitled to attorneys to have their attorney's fees paid. What that does is if you do not have the winning poker hand, it will force you to a settlement table very quickly. If someone is just playing well, what's the worst they can do? I'm a big contractor and I just got Frank Iglesias. I'm going to bleed him out. I'm going to wait him out. Well, with an attorney's fees contract, with the attorney's fees provision in your contract, you can wait a very long time, but the winner is going to pay. The winner is going to get their attorney's fees paid. So, if you have a losing hand, it'll force you to the settlement table. If your case is just okay, your dispute is good but not great, it's going to force you both to the settlement table, knowing that one of those attorneys is going to walk out of it with a lot of money.
That's powerful stuff. I love it.
So,
Love it. And it's practical because these are problems that happen all the time, right? Like just
absolutely. I mean, why would you not have the attorney's fees provision stuck in there? Also, your choice of law matters. If you and I were doing a contract, me doing work for you or you doing work for me, where we're going to have a dispute, if we're going to throw rocks at each other, whose field are we going to throw them on? Yours or mine? And guess what? I'm in Stuart, Florida. I know every judge and every lawyer in this county. I guarantee you the jurisdiction and venue is going to be Martin County, Florida. It's my home, my town, my courthouse is about 4 blocks that direction. I am not coming up to Athens, Georgia, or any place else in Georgia to settle a lawsuit. So there's a home field advantage, and usually the party with the more leverage will get their home field advantage.
That's good. That's good. I love it. Well, your firm serves a wide range of industries, as saw medical practices, real estate, private equity, software, are some of the things I saw. So shifting gears a little bit, what's some of the most exciting things? Well, let me rephrase it. What would you say is the most exciting thing in serving diverse clients?
Oh, just kind of getting into you have to think on your feet. Yeah, and like I said, when I go and I sell or I buy or sell a business on behalf of a client, I really do need to get a good sense of, okay, how does this business make money? There are so how does real estate is such a wide range of who does what, but commercial shopping plazas. Okay, well, how are they bought? How are they sold? How do they make money? What does the rent revenue look like? What does the rent roll look like? How do we get all these estoppel letters all worked out? So really, you do drill into, hey, how does this company make money? What should we be looking for in the contracts? How do we handle money pre and post closing? Just things like that, and it's fascinating. A pediatrics practice. I didn't know the other day that a pediatrics practice maintains its own stock on its own dime of vaccinations. And one pediatric practice was buying another one, and the practice being sold was like, "Hey, are we getting paid for our vaccines, our vaccine storage, which is all in fridges in their offices?" And I thought, no, we've actually didn't discuss this at the negotiation phase. How much are we talking about? And they said we have $25,000 worth of vaccination of of materials, vaccination in our fridges and freezers. I said, oh no, we need to make sure that the new buyers we need to adjust the purchase price up to cover that, because the new buyers are going to take those vaccines and obviously sell them via insurance. They're going to give the vaccines, but ultimately someone's paying for them. If I didn't know, or if they didn't tell me that they had $25,000 worth of measles, mumps, and every sort of meningitis vaccine in their fridge, I wouldn't have thought to ask. And so I do learn something pretty much every single time in an acquisition. We've done, I did a flooring adhesive company one time. It's amazing, just the stuff that they had, how they market. They had a QVC contract that was being bought. I had to read the QVC contract, how that works. So it's really fascinating. And it's never the same job twice, which I do enjoy about the practice.
There is a lot of variety out there. I love it. No, it's a great example. So speaking of examples then, because you're dealing with advisory work day to day, all these different companies, and learning all these interesting things, and it reminds me, when you were saying that, I was like, that just reminds me what I always say in real estate: what you don't know can and will hurt you. It kind of was like a variation of that. Mm-hmm. But what's a recent win you had that was just a reminder to you of, man, I just love what I do?
Just happened about 2 weeks ago. an attorney friend of mine that does estates and trust. And there's not a lot of overlap in these businesses, but I've known him for years, and he just sends me, some business law here and there. I sent him like a family that needed a will, a power of attorney for a kid going off to college or something like that. Well, turns out a husband and wife were clients of his. The wife unfortunately perished, and she owned a business, but the husband didn't. The husband didn't really know what to do with an operating business. I won't go into what it was. And he thought, well, we're going to cash the life insurance. We're going to essentially sell the warehouse full of inventory and the pieces and parts. We're going to fire the employees and close the business. The attorney had the estate and trust attorney had the foresight, said, before you do that, let's call Brandon real quick. So I got the guy on the phone. I go, have you considered selling your ex-wife, your former wife, your deceased wife's business? And he goes, I didn't know we could do that. I said, okay, let me give you the name of two or three very, very good business brokers in the space, in the industry that have experience in the industry that this company was. He interviewed them. He settled on one that he liked. And we were able to pull, I think we got $2.1 million for the business that he was about to close.
Wow.
On top of the estate. Now he's heartbroken. His wife is gone. I mean, but out of some part of the tragedy, we could at least say, hey, he talked to his attorney. The attorney knew me and knew what I did. And that turned into, at least some financial compensation for him, whereas before it was going to be a net loss. Pay off the remainder of the rent to the shopping plaza and close the store and fire the employees. Turned into be a nice day for him, and he's doing okay.
So 2.1 million in profit plus all the expenses that he didn't have to pay that he would have, because right, if you just shut it down, you just spend money to shut it down.
There was 2 years left on the lease. It had we probably would have had to give some severance to the workers, certain key employees. But it was a good business. It was a service-related business, had a good book. And sure enough, there was another rival or a competitor out there that was like, we'll take that book over.
Wow.
Sure. And I actually got a couple of good bids, and I think we took the bid in the middle. But it stands for, you'd ask for, a success, or something that brought a smile to my face was every time I would talk to this guy, he would remind me, I didn't know this. I didn't know you exist. I didn't know this whole process existed. Right. I said, well, aren't you glad? And then we closed, and I'm like, we're going out to have drinks on you, aren't we? And he goes, yes, you definitely are having drinks on me.
It's the least he could do.
Oh, yeah. Drinks on that guy.
Oh, that's one. Well, it's wonderful when you hear a happy ending like that. Yeah. But the way we get to happy endings is a great segue. Is you don't do it alone. You had a team. In fact, you referenced you had an amazing team earlier. What's been a key that you found to attracting great talent, and more importantly, just great people, so that your practice is strong?
I think one of the things is try to get it's not so much it's not the talent, and it's not the skill set. You hire good people and then train them for the job you want them to do. I've heard, that's not just me talking. That's any business book. That's any successful business owner, is you get a good hardworking person in there that you can trust, and that shares your values and shares your vision. The job part can come along sort of secondarily, unless it's obviously some sort of talent skill that requires certifications and study or things like that. I hire good people. We get them invested in the process. Certain members of my team have profit share. So the harder they work, when we all work, or when we all profit, when the partners make money, well, their ship rises a little bit too. It's perfectly allowed within our industry. They get compensation and bonuses directly tied to the financial performance of my company. And owners that just simply take, your staff, unfortunately, are going to be always looking for the next better opportunity. It is 2025. You're trying to deal with employees that are in their 20s and 30s. They job hop. Nobody goes gold watch. So make the most of the time you can, make the best deal you can, getting the cheapest employee is like getting the cheapest lawyer. It's just, okay, well, what did you save? So that's been kind of a key driver to the success of my firm is people that work a little harder, bring their own ideas to the table, and are invested with our success.
Mm. Makes a huge, huge difference, to say the least. Love it, love it. Let's step back in time briefly, just as looking back to your path. You started in the prosecution world, going through, and then you mentioned going through corporate counsel, and now leading a firm. But like, what turned you on to this world? And did you do anything before it, or did you start in law and then like?
No, no, it was college and then a year off bartending, and then right, kind
Oh,
of
okay,
then into law school, and then
gotcha. So,
but what we also so I it wasn't always set in the stars I was going to be an attorney, um, but I always had the gift of gab. I always understood that in law things can be there's room for creativity, flexibility, and some on your feet thinking, and it doesn't matter the kind of law you practice. You do need to be solutions based. Attorneys love to solve problems. Now, our spouses don't always like to hear that, but attorneys love to solve problems. We are constantly looking to how can we fix this? How can we make this better? Now, in business, there you go. Um, I went to college, then law school. The job available to me in Kansas City, that's the city behind me over here, was as a prosecuting attorney. In Georgia, I believe you call them district attorneys. In Florida, they are state's attorneys. So it has different uh, terms in different parts of the country, but we were prosecutors or a state's attorney. I handled everything from traffic cases, speeding tickets, and the like, up to actual, real crimes. And we put people in jail. Um, it absolutely makes you think on your feet. Makes you very quick to get to understand, recognize the solution or recognize the problem, get to the solution, and get it off your desk as quickly as possible. And in court, whether you've ever seen an actual docket call or a first appearance docket in a major city courtroom, it is fast and it is trial by fire. And I did okay with it. Um, it's a political job, like a lot of big city prosecution jobs are. Winds of change, new prosecutor brings in their new people. I decided to go somewhere else, and the job that was available at the time was in-house counsel at a huge corporation, and the skill set translated. It was okay. We're problem solving, and you're going to be quick about it. That skill set translated over to my first job, which was an engineering company. It's a fifth biggest engineering company in the world, by the way. They build things like the power plants for nuclear propulsion, like aircraft carriers. They build nuclear
Wow.
power plants up and down all over the United States, all around the world. They built big chunks of the Suez and Panama canals. They were there at Trinity, at Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, standing next to Robert Oppenheimer, were Mr. Black and Mr. Veatch, the founders of Black and Veatch Engineering in Kansas City, Missouri. We actually have a photograph in our lobby of the company of um, here's the big derrick behind them, and here's two of our founders standing right there at 25 and 27 years old, giving the thumbs
Wow.
up. And like, those were our founders? And they're like, yeah, that's how long we've been in the nuclear business. Um,
Wow.
Being corporate counsel, I had a very good mentor. I had a good boss there that taught me as much as lots and lots about just the business of being a good corporate lawyer. You never want to be the guy that says no. You want to be the guy that says, how do we get to yes? Because the business teams are not there for you to be a roadblock. And that's private practice too. Someone's coming to you to get them to yes. That's another book we can all read, Getting to Yes. But if you just say no all the time, you're going to have a very, very short legal career in the business law world. From Black and Veatch, I ended up at the publicly traded Florida Power and Light. That is down here in Florida. They are the biggest, last I checked, power company in the country. They are one of the best. They get hurt by hurricanes. They have nuclear power. They're league leading in renewables and a bunch of things. I was with them for a couple of years and then decided to go out on my own. Not the easiest thing to do is go from in-house to public. Um, I think I had about $100 and a card table, and opened my law firm at the time, and it worked. I had a couple of good small clients. They weren't Fortune 200 or anything. Um, Gained a few good clients, and it just grew from there. In 2018, we got some partners to build out our litigation side of things, and now it's 2025, and we're just rocking and rolling.
Mm, what a journey. What a journey.
It's not. I mean, there's a little there's some tears. There's crying into the pillow. There's
Well,
like every business is, yours, mine. I mean,
well, that
there's some
leads
struggle along the way.
well, that leads to the next question is what's a lesson you learned early on about how
Gifting.
businesses succeed or fail,
Fail is. Oh, I've got tons of fail.
but something that guides you today that really stuck?
Um, I like to give things time to succeed. If we go into a new venture, a new area of practice, or we're going to advertise something, if we're going to join a trade group as a law firm, we expect, slow growth. Okay, if we join a marketing group, or we join the contractors association here in our town, no one's going to hire us on the first day. They're just not going to do it. You're new, they don't know you, and to expect otherwise is a little bit foolish. So I give new ventures as much time as I can before I evaluate, did this marketing idea work? Did this associate
Mm,
work? Did this idea concept of outsourcing certain ideas work? Some things we put on a flat fee and it was successful, but when I look at the bottom line 6 months later, we lost money on every single case we took on a flat fee if I'd have done it versus hourly. And so we stopped offering that service on a flat fee. It was just unsustainable. So patience, you've got to give things time to work.
mm,
But don't be beholden. And just because it worked for somebody else, do not ride a sinking ship to the bottom. I mean, if it's not working for you, absolutely get rid of it. And that is something when it comes to staff and team. There's a book out here. I recommend it highly. Hire slow, fire fast. Is you need to
yeah.
be absolutely sure you need that person, but as soon as that person becomes a roadblock, obstacle, or bottleneck in your organization, no, having no employee is better than having a bad employee in that position. I firmly believe that. And if
Yeah.
that person is customer facing, doubly so.
Yeah, I've lived through that, so I am in 100% agreement. So, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs have. And I was talking about this with someone earlier today. Sometimes the hardest thing is most people are nice people. We're good people. We wish the best in people. We want to see people succeed, and we'll give, and sometimes we'll give maybe more than we should because we're so committed to right it working out
Yeah.
until you reach that point that's like, okay, I should have fired him 6 months ago.
Right.
This is not
Yeah.
going to work.
Yeah.
Like how do you help people? Because you're talking to entrepreneurs in all kinds of business, so it's not like you're not seeing this probably with
No,
a
I,
bunch
I,
of
I
business.
see it all
How
the
do you,
time.
how do you help people say, look, get to that point of letting them go quickly, get past the, you know what, you're such a good-hearted person, because unfortunately it does work against us
It
sometimes.
does. And so I mean, and I coach other attorneys, and every so often, they've adopted their employees. Well, this person's been with me for 8 years, 10 years, something like that. You haven't done that person any favors. They need career growth. They need to be constantly challenged. They're putting, their economic fortune in your hands. Okay, well, let's make sure that, it's a two-way street, that they are living up to their side of the bargain too. And that is deliver good work every day. Accidents happen. People have things in their personal life, but if you're not getting the value for you're a business first, and you're a family or a charity second. Any company that runs, we run like a family around here. Run away from that. That is not how your business is a business. You have a family. Keep the two very, very separate.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
I don't think any employee has ever been to my house. I don't think other than to maybe deliver a piece of a document or something like that when I was
Mhm.
there. But yeah, no, you want to keep some boundaries out there. People work together, and this can be even amongst the partners of a business. I love my partners to death, but we do not hang out after hours. We're just different cats. We are. I don't think we even like each other after hours. We just not during the day. We're awesome. We make a lot of money together and for each other. But outside, we don't have to be chums all the time. So to the ultimate question is, how do you know is you want to make sure your expectations are documented, written down. When minor course corrections are required, you have a short, uncomfortable conversation, uh, and you move on. Um, Having a short, uncomfortable conversation for a little while, and everybody's back to work tomorrow, and everything's okay. Way better than having a very uncomfortable conversation and at the 6 month mark, where the only thing you have left in your toolbox is to let somebody go. Um,
Yeah.
it happens. I wish it didn't, but that is part of business.
No, I hear you. I heard somebody say a few weeks ago something that struck me. It was this lady. She's a pretty wise lady. She goes, there are no uncomfortable conversations. There's just conversations. It's your viewpoint on them that makes them uncomfortable.
Right.
And that really struck me because really that puts the onus back on you to decide how to handle
Mhm.
that conversation.
That's actually very, very good advice. Nobody likes to hear, I mean, a performance review, nobody likes to hear that, things didn't go as well as they'd hoped, or your performance is not meeting someone else's expectation. We're all innate people pleasers. We want to be liked, we want to be well thought of. But at the same time, if my firm isn't cutting it for a company and they bring me in like, Brandon, your billing is completely out of whack, I need to know that. Brandon, we just can't, the turnaround on this particular kind of project is, we're having a problem with that. Okay, let me address that. So yeah, no, feedback is absolutely imperative. You need to know what's working, what isn't working, and you need to be open to, hey, okay, let's make some changes. When I was in corporate world, it was the same thing. Nobody loved performance review day because they have to have something negative. You can't all be sunshine and roses. You got to have something to hit you over the head with. That's just the corporate world. But at the same time, you're like, all in. I'm glad they told me versus letting something go out of control and being a problem so big that you're left with not a whole lot of tools left in the toolbox.
Mm, that's a good word. So you've been inside some boardrooms of some large companies, and one I saw here was Florida Power and Light.
Been
So kind
there.
of going off that potentially uncomfortable conversation, or maybe comfortable, but you've been in these large boardrooms, but you've also guided small business owners.
Sure.
What's something about we have these preconceived notions about, oh, they're a large business, they're successful, they're this, that, the other. Like, what's something surprising in some of the larger companies you've seen that could be maybe encouraging or just surprising to small business owners? Because it's like they put, oh, well, they must be more successful. And we kind of create this pedestal.
Look, I mean, big business owners, big business board members, they all put their pants on the same way you did this morning, one leg at a time, unless you're really, really special. Grant Cardone and his wonderful real estate and all the jets he's on, pants, same way. He worries about marketing. He worries about interest rates. He worries about availability of capital because his whole shtick is borrowing money. And if he can't borrow money, I don't care how many books he sells or TED Talks he does, he ain't selling real estate, and that's what makes his money. So the forces out there that work on big businesses work on small businesses too. If there's uncertainty in the financial market, if there's uncertainty in the supply chains of any industry, aluminum, lumber, those are both just gutting, they're just killing new home construction in South Florida. No one can get trusses now. Cost of a new home is twice what it was 4 or 5 years ago. But everybody has the same problems, and some are in better position to weather it. A giant company can just say, okay, well, just let's pivot to something else. Let's pull the brakes back a little bit. Just put all the people on kind of a life support system and just kind of wait for it to get better. Small companies may not have as long to wait out, difficult times vis-a-vis interest rates or a regulatory environment that they can't deal with in their state or local municipality. But like I said, it's tough times never last. Tough people do, and don't be afraid if you're small to put the brakes on it. Your company, stop, go do something else. No, you're not a failure if you just have to. You know what? My pet sitting business has not taken off because no one's traveling, so I don't have any pets to sit. Okay, you don't have to close it. Leave the website open, pivot a little bit, and either add something to the services, or for God's sake, go work at the paint counter at Home Depot. Good Georgia company, and do what you need to do to keep yourself employed, fed, roof, all the things. And if the bottom falls out of your business, it's okay. Start another one. That's it. There's nothing more. I mean, there's nothing more to it. You do have to weather the tough times, and if you do have to take a break in it, there you go.
I hear you. I love it. And there will be tough times.
Oh yeah,
there will be tough times. It's not sunshine and roses like I'm in real estate. So
it's in fact raining right now. We talked earlier about the sun in South Florida, but I'm up against the daily rain. I am up also against a time crunch here. So if we've got a final, we should probably get to it.
Oh yeah, no. So got a couple more questions for you. What would you say the biggest mistake you've made in your career was that ended up propelling you forward the most?
Waiting to be acquired. That was something that I always thought I'd open my small business, and then at some point, a larger company would be like, okay, we need this guy. Maybe I was keeping it, kind of as a stopgap, I'll just do this. The real estate business called ham and egging it, do a little something on the side just to keep money flowing, keep benefits going, do something related to law. But it's the last line of the book, Pursuit of Happiness. And there's a movie out of it, and I can't remember the author's name. I should know this. And the end of that story is the cavalry is not coming. They're not. So the sooner you realize that you only got yourself, knuckle down and either make something, give it 100%, or go do something else. That's also out of a great line out of Parks and Recreation, and Ron Swanson looks at Leslie Knope and says, "Don't half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing." And I made the decision to whole-ass business law outside of a major law firm, and it's worked.
I love it. So you've negotiated deals in the business law space, hundreds of millions of dollars. You've advised small startups, different mindsets, different companies, different areas, different goals. How do you keep yourself grounded when you're relating to people in all these diverse environments?
Well, I have 3 teenage sons, so I'm constantly reminded how dorky, out of touch, and out of step I am. And, hey, we just closed a $9 million deal. That's cool. You still burnt dinner.
So the kids keep you honest.
They do, and I still don't know what half of the slang means, and it's over the dinner table, and I'm like, or I'll even try to give them good advice. Like one of them is trying to put together a little pressure washing business, and they're like, "What you don't know anything about pressure washing businesses? You've never run a pressure washing businesses." I'm like, "Son, I do know a little bit about business, but no, make your own mistakes. Go ahead." So there's that. So I am grounded by my family clearly, and my golf game, which is not good.
Well, there's lots of golf courses in South Florida.
We do have that.
Plenty of time to practice. So one last question for you,
Sure.
And that is, a lot of entrepreneurs, we were talking about contracts earlier, in some businesses you've got compliance to worry about, and there's more rules and this and that, the other. What's If you could leave our audience with this thought, like what's a mindset shift you wish more entrepreneurs would adopt when it comes to dealing with the legal side of business?
Um, we're here to help. We really are. Most attorneys, most people's attorneys experience with attorneys is usually in a time of crisis. Either they are in a family law situation, they're in a criminal situation where things outside of their making have gone badly. Outside of them, something external is happening to them, and they need the attorneys to come in and fix a problem that they don't necessarily want to be in. They lump business lawyers in with their divorce lawyers or their bankruptcy lawyers, or their criminal lawyers. We're not like that. We're here to be problem solvers. I will absolutely get out of the way. I tell a client or two a week saying, "You're not ready for me yet. You're not big enough. You don't have a problem that I can solve economically. Um, I want to help you, but like I said, you're not where you need somebody like me yet. Here's some steps you can take." But at the same time, sending clients away is something we do around here for the simple reason we want to help you. We do, but the economics aren't there. What your listeners need to know is, you said, when do you hire the attorney? And it's, can you afford to lose this deal or this contract? That's one. And then what does your gut say? If you are just uncomfortable with the deal, having a business attorney look at it as a second set of eyes could absolutely be like, no, this is a terrible deal. And you spent 2 hours with me in my office and we looked at it. I'm like, I would run, not walk away from this deal based on my 25 years of experience. And they're like, you know what? For the $1,000 I just spent versus 100,000 or $1,000,000, they come out like, man, you were so right. That property was swampland, or they found a hidden toxin. That happened a couple times around here. There's old fertilizer tanks in the ground. You don't want to find that. But
Wow.
it is a rainy day in South Florida, and it has been a whole lot of fun talking to you, Frank.
Absolutely. And so let's wrap up. So for our listeners, fantastic information that we've gotten today from Brandon. I learned some things, and just having counsel is real important. If you want to connect with Brandon, there'll be links below
Got them all.
for his website and how to connect with him, chat. I mean, maybe you have a need that he can help you with right now. So reach out to him, have that conversation. If not him, you can see he's a person who loves to help. He can direct you where you need to go. So, Brandon, I want to thank you again for coming on. Very delightful conversation, informative. Can you leave us with a final word?
Sure. Like I said, you do not have to go it alone. Business ownership is the most liberating, but the most frustrating sort of sensation in the world. It's great to be your own boss. All the decisions are yours, but so are all the consequences too. But some of those consequences you can avoid by putting the right people around you. And that's the good accountant that knows banking, knows how to get your money and your cash flow if that's not your strong suit. An attorney, we're not the first hire, but we should be in the top 3 or 4 people once you get some size. Know your numbers, know how you make money, and track everything. Treat your employees well, and you're in a pretty good spot for success.
I love it. Well, Brandon, thank you for sharing that. That was great advice, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
It's going to be a good one. And if your listeners do reach out to me, please tell us that it was Frank's podcast that brought us. That's how we track things around here, and I'll certainly let you know how that works.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Brandon.
All right, have a good one. Thanks again.